Believing in space is a childish game. It's like believing in death as well, 'cause it's insane.
You to tap.
The Sun is the real answer to determining Earth's true geometric surface shape. Understanding how to use the Sun along with military science and geometry to determine Earth's true surface shape. It's as simple as looking in the daytime sky based on where you live in the world and seeing the Sun high in the sky. There is a point at which the high Sun proves you live on a flat surface. Sun in either the first story or second story window. The Sun's position tells the real answer. If the Sun is seen in the first story window during late spring, summer, and early fall sun seasons, the Earth's surface could either be flat or curved. As a rule of thumb, general times will be 9 to 10 a.m. mornings, and afternoon times 3 to 4 p.m. In this example, the Sun is in the first story window, distinguishing Earth's true surface as flat. In this example of the two-story house, the Sun is in the second story window. This distinguishes Earth's true surface shape as being flat. This is because in the designated sun seasons and times the high Sun position can only be viewed from a flat surface. Finding out the why is the next step. Understanding the why the high Sun is the real answer. Understanding Sun location in our daytime sky or the high Sun is primary evidence of flat Earth. And it is why the Sun, once we understand its position in the sky, only works in one model, the geocentric flat Earth model. At 46 degrees or more, the Earth's true surface shape distinguishes itself as flat at observation times of 9 to 10 a.m. and 1500 hours, 3 p.m., 1600 hours, 4 p.m. daily. Like a window in the sky, as shown in the diagram above, the Sun position in the sky verifies the difference between a flat or curved surface. This is because the object of reference, the Sun, when sighted center mass, has now exceeded the line of parallel, and you are no longer sighting on the Sun center mass. Proper Earth to Sun alignment is exceeded for the globe model. At 45 degrees and below, the Earth's surface is indistinguishable between flat and curved. The most difficult times for the globe model are the summer season, inside the prime meridian zone, and low altitude. This is because the globe model only has 45-degree upper surface measurement to work with, because the observer is at a 45-degree surface angle to the Sun, which reaches line of parallel for the globe model at 90 degrees. Creating the grid in the sky using the Marks device and digital protractor. Using solo timed observation, STO, as in this example, or simultaneous observation, SIMO, the Marks device, and a digital protractor, we can create a grid pattern to check the Sun's position with regards to both the globe and flat Earth models. This grid is then used to verify whether the observation station, observer, is viewing the Sun from a flat or curved surface. This essentially creates accountability within the system.
terms, it's almost never studied medium that defines What is quantum? What is quantum? But the meaning is very obfuscated because the word quantum replaced the word ether. And only relatively recently it was popularized in a computer world, giving a different meaning. So, what is this ether? In general terms, it's almost never studied medium that defines all there is in the known universe. It's the fabric beyond the space and time we experience. It's the foundation for all there is. Ether became a controversial because it defies heliocentric model. The existence of ether was attacked and slowly withdrawn from the academia. This happened because if there is a phenomena of a god-like proportions, then it can't support the new and modern way of thinking and believing, where there is no need for God, and where we are just a cosmic accident. This could be all fine if we ignore it, but if we decide to study it or understand it, then how do we go about it and why? We know that solids, liquids, and gases are mediums. They can propagate or isolate things like radio waves, light or heat. Then these things can travel easier through different mediums at different speeds. Light can travel through glass, air, water, vacuum. Heat can travel through metal, air, water, vacuum. Radio can travel through metal, air, water, vacuum. Electricity, metal, air, water, vacuum. Magnetism, metal, air, water, vacuum. And so on, and so forth. Then we observe the change in the movement when the physical media are present, but when physical media are removed, then certain things can travel freely without secondary influence. This can only happen if there is an ultimate medium which is always present and perfect in all its essence. But the story doesn't end here. This above is only a brief description of what we are led to believe, what we are allowed to learn, or what's available in scientific papers and through basic experimentation. Then, where does the ether fit to all of this? As mentioned above, the ether is the foundation of them all. It's everywhere and within all there is. In this realm it flows through all matter, through all media, and it flows with the absence of media. This above is only a brief description of what we are led to believe, what we are allowed to learn, or what's available in scientific papers and through basic experimentation.
All humans on Earth can only ever see one face of the moon, and it appears that the face rotated with a degree depending on location. The moon covers the full 360 degrees of rotation. Mainstream science simplifies this fact and states the moon is right side up north of the equator and upside down south of the equator. This isn't true. It appears rotated to different observers in different locations. If the Earth and Moon were both balls, then humans at the far north would see a different face of the moon than those in the far south, with some overlap. The only way we can all see the same face is upon a flat Earth. One can clearly see the moon moving away from the observer, to the vanishing point of a human SI. Eyes are spherical objects that focus light on the lens at the back. The horizon has nothing to do with the shape of the world and everything to do with distance. People are fooled into thinking the horizon is the edge of the curve. Phases. We are told the moon's phases, the 29.53-day rhythm of different degrees of illumination, are from sunlight via the sun's angle to the moon, but this cannot be the case. Below is the mainstream model. But when it is new moon and day in the ball model, we should see a black silhouette. We don't though, we see nothing. We should see a silhouette in the ball model, because the sun is so much bigger than the moon and behind it. Also we can see a nearly full moon in the day. This is not possible on the ball Earth, as during the day, the Earth is facing the sun, red below. The Earth would be in the way of someone trying to see the moon in the daytime. Also, we can sometimes see the sun and moon in the sky at the same time, for some hours in the days just before and just after the full moon. There is nothing between the sun and moon, so the moon should be 100% lit in the ball model. There is nothing obstructing the massive sun's rays, but the moon appears only 4/5 or so illuminated. If the moon was orbiting the Earth, and both were orbiting the sun, then 6 months later the moon's phases should have swapped over, and each lunar month, the phases should appear different. We are told that the sun gives the moon its light for the phases, but if this were the case, during each lunar month, the moon would be at a different angle to the sun. It would be impossible for the phases to remain the same each lunar month, but they do. Study the two images below to get a full understanding of this. These two images both present the same mainstream paradox. A. The moon does what it does with its phases each month. B. The moon goes around the sun with the Earth. One of these has to be wrong, but we are told that both are true. You can see from the two images above that the moon should have a different light reflection from the sun at different locations around the sun, but at the same time and location of its own lunar month. It should actually act like this below, but it doesn't, helping to prove the ball Earth model is a hoax. This might need some contemplation, a pen and paper, or possibly a reread. But it is indisputable. The moon cannot be above a ball, or the reflection on the ocean wouldn't reach to the person on the shore, but it does reach an observer on the shore. If the moon were above a ball, the reflection on the ocean would behave much differently. See below where we have pieced in the phantom curvature. Tides. We are told that the gravitational pull of the moon alone creates the tides, but this is also wrong. If the moon was 2,160 miles in diameter and the Earth 8,000 miles in diameter, the Earth would be 87 times larger and would attract the smaller mass, the moon, to it, not the other way. We are told the Earth's stronger gravity keeps the moon in orbit, so how can the moon's weaker gravity override Earth's gravity at Earth's lowest points, sea level and below sea level? If the magical error-ridden force called gravity existed, all trees would look like willow trees, and all flowers would wilt in an N shape. But that is for another time. The Earth's tides vary greatly. For example, near the Isle of Wight, there are 4 tides a day. Some beaches have tides which go out far, while others not so much. The mainstream map of tides is not uniform, and would not be caused by a single body moving harmoniously across from east to west. If the moon lifted up the water, it is evident that near the land, the water would be drawn away and low instead of high tide caused. Again, the velocity and path of the moon are uniform, and it follows that if she exerted any influence on the Earth, that influence could only be a uniform influence. But the tides are not uniform. At Port Natal, the rise and fall is about 6 feet, while at Barra, about 600 miles up. The coast, the rise and fall is 26 feet. This effectually settles the matter that the moon has no influence on the tides. Tides are caused by the gentle and gradual rise and fall of the Earth on the bosom of the mighty deep. In inland lakes, there are no tides, which also proves that the moon cannot attract either the Earth or water to cause tides. But the fact that the basin of the lake is on the Earth, which rests on the waters of the deep, shows that no tides are possible, as the waters of the lakes, together with the Earth rise and fall, and thus the tides at the coast are caused, while there are no tides on waters unconnected with the sea. Thomas Winship, Zetetic Cosmogony, 130 to 131. It is affirmed that the intensity of attraction increases with proximity, and vice versa. How, then, when the waters are drawn up by the moon from their bed, and away from the Earth's attraction, which at that greater distance from the center is considerably diminished, while that of the moon is proportionately increased, is it possible that all the waters acted on should be prevented leaving the Earth and flying away to the moon? If the moon has power of attraction sufficient to lift the waters of the Earth at all, even a single inch from their deepest receptacles, where the Earth's attraction is much the greater, there is nothing in the theory of attraction of gravitation to prevent her taking to herself all the waters which come within her influence. Let the smaller body once overcome the power of the larger, and the power of the smaller becomes greater than when it first operated, because the matter acted on is nearer to it. Proximity is greater, and therefore power is greater. How then can the waters of the ocean immediately underneath the moon flow towards the shores, and so cause a flood tide? Water flows, it is said, through the law of gravity, or attraction of the Earth's center. Is it possible then for the moon, having once overcome the power of the Earth, to let go her hold upon the waters? Through the influence of a power which she has conquered, and which therefore is less than her own? For years the ancients used to look up in the sky and notice the effects of luminaries on human affairs. They created their own science out of it they called astrology. It was always formulated and created on a flat earth assumption. Saturn, Jupiter, male sign Mars. Sol, the Sun, 4, female sign Venus, Mercury, and Luna, Moon. These characters have been always in use, and may be traced to the remotest antiquity, and their origin found among the hieroglyphics of Egypt. But as the object of this work is practical utility, no more need be said on the subject. The signs of the zodiac. They are 12, each containing 30 degrees, thus making 360 degrees, into which every great circle is divided. The first 6 are northern signs: Aries Aries, Taurus Taurus, Gemini Gemini, Cancer Cancer, Leo Leo, Virgo Virgo. Southern signs: Libra Libra, Scorpio Scorpio, Sagittarius Sagittary, Capricorn Capricorn, Aquarius Aquarius, Pisces Pisces. The first sign, Aries, commences the zodiac, its beginning being that spot in the heavens where the sun is when crossing the equator in spring, and the latter sign, Pisces, finishes the circle of the zodiac, the latter end of it being that spot in the heavens where the sun is when he has gone his round, and is again about to enter Aries. By referring to the annexed diagram, the student will perceive that when the sun enters Aries, about the 21st of March, he proceeds northward, and increases in declination until he reaches the Tropic of Cancer Cancer, about the 21st of June, when he speedily begins to return to the south, and when he reaches Libra, he again crosses the equator, about the 23d of September, where, having no declination, he causes equal day and night all over the world. He then declines away to the south, shortening our days in the northern region until he reaches the southern tropic Capricorn. At length he returns towards the equator, and crosses it by entering the sign Aries, about the 21st of March, where again he has no declination, and gives equal days and nights. Venus, whoever is signified by Venus, whether man or woman, has a good and fair round visage, a full eye, usually we say goggle-eyed, red ruddy lips, the nether more thick or longer than the upper, the eyelids black, yet lovely and graceful, the hair of lovely color, but most part according to the sign as before repeated, in some it is coal black, in others a light brown, a soft smooth hair, and the body extremely well shaped, even rather inclining to shortness than tallness. 1. Mercury, we describe Mercury to be a man neither black nor white, but between both, of a sad brown or dark yellow color, long-visaged, high forehead, black or gray eyes, a thin, long, sharp nose, thin spare beard, many times none at all, of an auburn sad color, next to black, slender of body, small legs, a prattling, busy fellow, and in walking he goes nimbly, and always would be thought to be full of action. The moon, she, by reason of her swiftness, varies her shape very often, but, in general, she personates one having a round visage and full face, in whose complexion you may perceive a mixture of white and red, but paleness overcomes. If she be in fiery signs, the man or woman speaks hastily. In watery signs, he or she has some freckles in his or her face, or is blood-cheeked, not a handsome body, but a muddling creature, and unless very well dignified, she ever signifies an ordinary vulgar person. The sun generally denotes one of an obscure white color, mixed with red, a round face, and short chin, a fair stature, and one of a comely body, his color sometimes between yellow and black, but for the most part more sanguine than otherwise, a bold man, and resolute, his hair curling. He has a white and tender skin, one desirous of praise, fame, and estimation among men. He has a clear voice, and great head, his teeth somewhat distorted or obliquely set, of slow speech, but of a composed judgment, using outwardly a great decorum in his actions, but privately he is lascivious and prone to many vices. Venus, whoever is signified by Venus, whether man or woman, has a good and fair round visage, a full eye, usually we say goggle-eyed, red ruddy lips. Mercury, we describe Mercury to be a man neither black nor white, but between both, of a sad brown or dark yellow color, long-visaged, high forehead, black or gray eyes, a thin, long, sharp nose, thin spare beard, many times none at all, of an auburn sad color, next to black, slender of body, small legs, a prattling, busy fellow, and in walking he goes nimbly, and always would be thought to be full of action. Mercury is the least of all the planets, never distant from the sun above 28 degrees, by which reason he is seldom visible to our sight. Color and motion, he is of a dusky silver color, his mean motion is 59 minutes and 8 seconds, but he is sometimes so swift, that he moves above 1 degree and 40 minutes in one day. He is stationary 1 day, retrograde 24 days. His year is 87 days and 23 hours.
Latitude, his createst south latitude is 3 degrees 35 minutes, createst north latitude 3 degrees 33 minutes.
Nature, we may not call him either masculine or feminine, for he is either the one or the other as joined to any planet, for if in with a masculine planet, he becomes masculine, one if with a feminine, then feminine, but of his own nature he is cold and dry, and therefore melancholy. With the good he is good, with the evil planets, ill. He is author of subtlety, tricks, devices, perjury, and manners when well dignified. Being well dignified, he represents a man of a subtle and political brain and intellect, an excellent disputant or logician, arguing with learning and discretion, and using much eloquence in his speech, a searcher into all kinds of mysteries and learning, sharp and witty, learning almost anything without a teacher, ambitious of being exquisite in every science, desirous naturally to travel and see foreign parts, a man of an unwearied fancy, curious in the search of any occult knowledge, able by his own genius to produce wonders, given to divination and the more secret knowledge. If he turn merchant, no man exceeds him in way of trade, or invention of new ways whereby to obtain wealth. Manners, when ill-dignified, a troublesome wit, a kind of frenetic man, his tongue and pen against every man, wholly bent to fool his estate and time in loquacity and trying nice conclusions to no purpose, a great liar, boaster, prattler, busybody, false, a tale-carrier, addicted to wicked arts, as necromancy, and such like ungodly knowledges, easy of belief, an ass or very idiot, constant in no place or opinion, cheating and thieving everywhere, a newsmonger, pretending all manner of knowledge, but void of true or solid learning. A trifler, a mere frantic fellow, if he prove a divine, then a mere verbal fellow, frothy, of no judgment, easily perverted, constant in nothing but idle words and bragging. Corporature, generally, he denotes one of an high stature, and straight, thin, spare body, a high forehead, and somewhat narrow long face, long nose sickness, all vertigos, lethargies, or giddiness in the head, madness, either lightness or any disease of the brain, phthisic, all stammering and imperfection in the tongue, vain and fond imaginations, all defects in the memory, hoarseness, dry coughs, too great abundance of spittle, all snaffling and snuffling in the head or nose, the hand and feet, gout, dumbness, foul or diseased tongue, all evils in the fancy and intellectual parts. Orb, his orb is 7 degrees. Years, his greatest years are 450, his greater 76, his mean 48, his little or least 20. Countries, he has Grecia, Flanders, Egypt. Of towns, Paris. Venus. Name, after the sun succeedeth Venus. Color in the element, she is of a bright, shining color, and is well known by the name of the evening star, or Hesperus, and that is when she appears after the sun is set. She is commonly called the morning star, but by the learned Lucifer, when she is seen long before the rising of the sun. Her mean motion is 59 minutes and 8 seconds, her diurnal motion is sometimes 62 minutes 8 and 82 minutes she never exceeds. Her greatest latitude is 9 degrees 2 minutes. She is retrograde 42 days, and stationary 2. Her year is 224 days and 7 hours. Element, she is a feminine planet, temperately cold and moist, nocturnal, the lesser fortune, author of mirth and cheerfulness. Manners and quality, when well dignified, she signifies a quiet man, not given to law, quarrel, or wrangling, not vicious, pleasant, neat and spruce, loving mirth in his words and actions, cleanly in apparel, rather drinking much than gluttonous, prone to venery, often entangled in love matters, zealous in their affections, musical, delighting in baths and all honest merry meetings, or amusements and theatricals, easy of belief, and not given to labor, or take any pains, a company keeper. Cheerful, nothing mistrustful, a right virtuous man or woman, often jealous, yet without cause. Tending to a little darkness, one which makes him more lovely, very fair, lovely eyes, and sometimes black, a round face and not large, fair hair, smooth and plenty of it, and it is usually of a light brown color, a lovely mouth and cherry lips, the face pretty fleshy, a rolling wandering eye, a body very delightful, lovely, and exceedingly well shaped, one desirous of trimming and making himself neat and complete both. In clothes and body, a love dimple in his cheeks, to a steadfast eye, and full of amorous enticements. Sicknesses, diseases, by her signified, are principally in the matrix and members of generation, in the reins, belly, back, navel, and those parts, the gonorrhea or running of the reins, lues venerea, or any disease arising from inordinate lust, priapism, impotency in generation, hernias, and c. the diabetes, or an involuntary discharge of urine. Orb, her orb is 7 degrees. Years, her greatest years are 151, her greater 82, her mean 45, her least 8. In man she governs youth from 14 to 28. Countries, Arabia, Austria, Campania, Vienna, Polonia the Greater, Turin, Parthia, Media, Cyprus. Mars. Mars does in order succeed Jupiter, is less in body, and appears to our sight of a shining, fiery, sparkling color. He finishes his course in the zodiac in 1 year, 321 days, and 22 hours. His greatest latitude north is about 4 degrees 31 minutes, his south, 6 degrees 47 minutes, and is retrograde 80 days, stationary 2 or 3. He governs wholly the watery triplicity, viz. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Nature, he is a masculine, nocturnal planet, in nature hot and dry, choleric and fiery, the lesser in fortune, author of quarrels, strifes, and contentions. Manners, when well dignified, in feats of war and courage invincible, scorning that any should exceed him, subject to no reason, bold, confident, immovable, contentious, challenging all honor to themselves, valiant, lovers of war and things pertaining thereto, hazarding himself in all perils, unwilling to obey or submit to anybody, a boaster of his own acts, one that slights all things in comparison of victory, and yet of prudent behavior in his own affairs. When ill-dignified, then, he is a prattler, without modesty or honesty, a lover of slaughter and quarrels, murder, thievery, a promoter of sedition, frays, and commotions, an highway thief, as wavering as the wind, a traitor, of turbulent spirit, perjured, obscene, rash, inhuman, neither fearing God nor caring for man, unthankful, treacherous, oppressors, ravenous, cheaters, furious, and violent. Corporature. Generally martialists have this form. They are but of middle stature, their bodies strong, and their bones large, rather lean than fat, their complexion of a brown, ruddy color, their visage round, their hair red or sandy, and many times crisping or curling, sharp, hazel, piercing eyes, a bold competent countenance, and they are active and fearless. Diseases. The gall, tertian fevers, pestilent burning fevers, megrims in the head, carbuncles, the plague, and all plague sores, burnings, ringworms, blisters, frenzies, mad sudden distempers in the head, yellow jaundice, bloody flux, fistulas, all wounds and diseases in men's genitals, the stone both in the reins and bladder, scars or smallpox in the face. Mars causes all hurts by iron, the shingles, and such other diseases as arise by too much choler, anger, or passion. Places. Smith shops, furnaces, slaughterhouses, places where bricks or charcoal are burned, or have been burned, chimneys, and forges. 1. His orb is only 7 degrees. Years. In man he governs the flourishing time of youth, and from 41 to 56, his greatest year is 264, greater 66, lower 40, and least 15. Countries. Sarmatia, Lombardy, Batavia, Ferraria, Gothland. Jupiter. Jupiter is placed next to Saturn. He is the greatest in appearance, to our eyes, of all the planets, the and female sign excepted. In his color he is bright, clear, and of an azure hue. In his motion he exceeds Saturn, finishing his course through the 12 signs, in 14 years, 314 days, and 12 hours. His middle motion is 4 minutes 52 seconds. His greatest north latitude is 1 degree 38 minutes. His greatest south latitude is 1 degree 40 minutes. He is retrograde about 120 days, is 5 days in his first station before retrogradation, and 4 days stationary before direction. Nature. He is a masculine planet, temperately hot and moist, and the greater fortune, author of temperance, modesty, sobriety, justice. And religious, of sweet and affable conversation, wonderfully indulgent to his wife and children, reverencing aged men, a great reliever of the poor, full of charity and godliness, liberal, hating all sordid actions, just, wise, prudent, grateful and virtuous, so that when you find the significator of any man in question, and well dignified, you may judge him well qualified as aforesaid. Diseases. Pleurisy, all infirmities in the liver, apoplexies, inflammation of the lungs, palpitation and trembling of the heart, cramps, pain in the backbone, all diseases lying in the veins or ribs, and proceeding from corruption of blood, quinsys, flatulence, all putrefaction in the blood, or fevers proceeding from too great abundance thereof. Places. He delights in being near altars of churches, in public conventions, synods, convocations, in places neat and sweet, in wardrobes, courts of justice, and oratories. 1. His greatest years are 428, his greater, 79, his mean, 45, least, 12. Men of middle age, or of a full judgment and discretion, are described by him. Babylon, Persia, Hungary, Spain, Cullen, are ruled by him. Saturn. HS is the supremest or highest of all the planets, 1 and is placed between Jupiter and the firmament. He is not very bright or glorious, nor does he twinkle or sparkle, but is of a pale or one ashy color, slow in motion, finishing his course through the 12 signs of the zodiac in 29 years, 167 days, and 5 hours, or thereabouts. His mean motion is 2 minutes and 1 second. His diurnal motion sometimes is 3, 4, 5, or 6 minutes, seldom more. His greatest north latitude from the ecliptic is 2 degrees 48 minutes. His greatest south latitude is 2 degrees 49 minutes. In the zodiac he has 2 of the 12 signs for his houses, viz. Capricorn Capricorn, his night house, Aquarius Aquarius, his day house. He is exalted in Libra, receives his fall in Aries, and rejoices in the sign Aquarius Aquarius. He governs the airy triplicity by day, which is composed of Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. If in any question he be in any degree wherein he has a term, he cannot be said to be peregrine, or void of essential dignities, or if he be in any of those degrees allotted him for his face or decanate, he cannot then be said to be peregrine. Understand this in all the other planets. 2. He continues retrograde 140 days, is 5 days in his first stage, before retrogradation, and so many in his second station, before becoming direct. He is cold and dry, being far removed from the sun, melancholy, earthy, masculine, and the greater in fortune, author of solitariness, malevolent, and sea. When well dignified, he is profound in imagination, in his acts severe, in words reserved, in speaking and giving very spare, in labor patient, in arguing or disputing grave, in obtaining the goods of this life studious and solicitous, in all manner of actions austere. 1. When ill-dignified, he is envious, covetous, jealous, and mistrustful, timorous, sordid, outwardly dissembling, sluggish, auspicious, stubborn, a contemner of women, a liar, malicious, murmuring, never contented, and ever repining. Corporature, most part of his body cold and dry, of a middle stature, his complexion pale, swarthy or muddy, his eyes little and black, looking downward, a broad forehead, black or sad hair, and it hard or rugged, great ears, hanging, lowering eyebrows, thick lips and nose, a rare or thin beard, a lumpish, unpleasant countenance, either holding his head forward or stooping, his shoulders broad and large, and many times crooked, his belly somewhat short and lank, his thighs spare, lean, and not long, his knees and feet ill-made, and frequently striking against each other, with a shuffling gait. His medium years 43 1/2, his least 30. The meaning whereof is this: admit we frame a new building, erect a town or city, or a family, or principality is begun when Saturn is essentially and occidentally strong. The astrologer may probably conjecture the family, principality, and see, may continue 465 years in honor, and see, without any sensible alteration. As to age, he relates to decrepit old men, fathers, grandfathers, the like in plants, trees, and all living creatures. Places, he delights in deserts, woods, obscure veins, caves, dens, holes, mountains, or where men have been buried, churchyards, and sea, ruinous buildings, coal mines, sinks, dirty and stinking places, houses of office, and sea. Countries, late authors say, he rules over Bavaria, Saxony, Styria, Romandiola, Ravenna, Constantia, Ingolstadt. The moon. Name: the moon we find called by the ancients Lucina, Cynthia, Diana, Phoebe, Latona, Noctiluca, Proserpina, one she is nearest to the earth of all the planets. Motion: she terminates her course through the whole 12 signs in 27 days, 7 hours, 43 minutes, 5 seconds. Her mean motion is 13 degrees, 10 minutes, and 36 seconds, but she moves sometimes less and sometimes more, never exceeding 15 degrees and 12 minutes in 24 hours time. Latitude: her greatest north latitude is 5 degrees and 17 minutes. Her greatest south latitude 5 degrees and 12 minutes. She is never retrograde, but when she is slow in motion, and goes less in 24 hours than 13 degrees and 11 minutes, she is then equivalent to a retrograde planet. Page 51. Nature: she is a feminine, nocturnal planet, cold, moist, and phlegmatic. Manners when well placed or dignified. She signifies one of composed manners, a soft tender creature, a lover of all honest and ingenious sciences, a searcher of and delighter in novelties, naturally inclined to flit and shift his habitation, unsteadfast, wholly caring for the present times, timorous prodigal, and easily frightened, loving peace, however, and to live free from the cares of this life. If a mechanic, the man learns many occupations, and frequently will be tampering with many ways to trade in. When ill, a mere vagabond, idle person, hating labor, a drunkard, a sot, one of no spirit or forecast, delighting to live beggarly and carelessly, one content in no condition of life, either good or ill. Sickness, apoplexies, palsy, the colic, the stomachache, diseases in the left side, the bladder and members of generation, the menstrues and liver in women, dropsies, fluxes of the belly, all cold rheumatic diseases, cold stomach, the gout in the wrists and feet, sciatica, worms, hurts in the uis, surfeits, rotten coughs, convulsive fits, the falling sickness, king's evil, abscess, smallpox, and measles. Orb is 12 degrees. Years. Her greatest years are 320, greater 108, mean 66, least 25. Countries: Holland, Zealand, Denmark, Nuremberg, Flanders. The Sun. Sun is placed in the middle of all the planets, continually visible to all mortal men. He passes through all the 12 signs of the zodiac in 1 year. His mean motion is 59 minutes 8 seconds, yet his diurnal motion is sometimes 57 minutes 16 seconds, sometimes more, but never exceeding 61 minutes and 6 seconds. He always moves in the ecliptic, and is ever void of latitude. He is only the sign Leo for his house, and Aquarius for his detriment. He is exalted in the 19th degree of Aries, and receives his fall in 19 degrees Libra. The Sun governs the fiery triplicity, viz. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, by day. He is always direct, and never can be considered retrograde. In nature, he is naturally hot and dry, but more temperate than male sign, is a masculine, diurnal planet, and equivalent if well dignified to a fortune. Manners, when well dignified, very faithful, keeping their promises with the greatest punctuality, a kind of itching desire to rule and sway wherever he comes. Prudent, and of incomparable judgment, of great majesty and stateliness, industrious to acquire honor and a large patrimony, yet is willing to spend it again. The solar man usually speaks with gravity, but not many words, and these with great confidence and command of his own feelings, full of thought, secret, trusty, speaks deliberately, and, notwithstanding his great heart, he is affable, tractable, and very humane to all people, one loving sumptuousness and magnificence, and whatever is honorable, no sordid thoughts can enter his heart. When ill-dignified, then the solar man is arrogant and proud, disdaining all men, boasting of his pedigree. He is purblind in sight and judgment, restless, troublesome, domineering, a mere vapor, expensive, foolish, endowed with no gravity in words, or soberness. In actions, a spendthrift, wasting his patrimony, and hanging on other men's charity, yet he thinks all men are bound to him, because a gentleman born. Corporature usually the present a man of a good, large, and strong corporature, a yellow, saffron complexion, a round large forehead, large goggle eyes, sharp and piercing, a body strong and well composed, not so beautiful as lovely, full of heat, with hair yellowish, and therefore quickly bald, much hair on their beard, and usually in high ruddy complexion, their bodies fleshy. In disposition they are very bountiful, honest, sincere, well-minded, of good heart, healthful constitution, very humane, yet sufficiently spirited, and not loquacious. Oriental, we can only say thee is oriental in the figure, or in an oriental quarter of the figure, or occidental, and see. The planets are oriental when they rise, or appear before him in the morning, and occidental when they set after him. Quality of men, and their professions he signifies, kings, princes, emperors, and sea dukes, marquises, earls, barons, lieutenants, deputy lieutenants of counties, magistrates, gentlemen in general, courtiers, desirers of honor and preferment. justices of peace, mayors, high sheriffs, high constables, stewards of noblemen's houses, the principal magistrate of any city, town, castle, or country village, yeah, even a petty constable, where no better is, goldsmiths, braziers, pewterers, coppersmiths, and minters of money. Sicknesses, pimples in the face, palpitation or trembling, diseases of the brain and heart, infirmities of the eyes, cramps, sudden swoonings, diseases of the mouth and impure breath, catarrhs, putrid fevers. Principally in man he governs the heart and the brain, in women, the vital spirit, and denotes hysterics. Places, houses or courts of princes, palaces, theaters, all magnificent structures, being clean and decent, halls, and dining rooms. Orb is 15 degrees. Years in age he rules youth, or when one is at the strongest, his greatest years are 1460, greater 120, lesser 69, and least 19. Countries, Italy, Sicily, Bohemia, Phoenicia, and Chaldea.
Leaving in spaces